While doing research and going over news articles and reports for my last video recapping the Artemis 2 mission, something I thought was overlooked, in need of more exposure, in my opinion, because it's crucial not only for deep space explorations, but for human healthcare improvements such as cancer treatment. Hello and welcome to the flip side of the moon. In this video, I want to talk about Avatar, not the Airbender nor the creatures from Pandora, but the Avatar investigation that happened for the duration of the Artemis 2 mission. Let's check it out. Look, the Artemis 2 mission was a big deal. The whole world was actually paying attention to this historic event. However, I feel that the Avatar investigation needed more exposure. Look, I'm a space nerd. I love anything space related. It can be observations that are as far as 33.8 billion light years, like the furthest galaxy MOMZ14, to even observing the dishes piling up at my kitchen right now. But the Avatar investigation not only affects astronauts in outer space, but it can contribute for humans' healthcare right here on Earth. It can be very beneficial. The Avatar, or a virtual astronaut tissue analog response investigation, will use organ on a chip devices or organ chips to study the effects of increased radiation and microgravity on human health. Insights from this research could have far-reaching benefits that advance personalized medicine. The Avatar investigation has two goals. First, enabling space exploration. Identify potential risks to human health prior to long-duration Moon and Mars missions. Support the development of countermeasures and preventative measures. Inform personalized medical kits tailored to each astronaut. And the second goal, which I think is way more important at this point, is benefiting humanity, right? Which will allow us to expand our scientific understanding of aging and disease. Also, advance the use of biomedical technologies in research, contribute to healthcare improvements such as cancer treatments. So I will go over the informational or the info sheet or the info PDF provided by NASA in regards to the Avatar investigation. Links will be in the description. So Avatar, a virtual astronaut tissue analog response aboard the Artemis 2 mission, will use organ-on-a-chip devices or organ chips to study the effects of deep space stressors on human health. The chips will contain cells derived from Artemis 2 astronauts and accompany crew on their 10-day journey around the moon. They will be placed in fully powered equipment that maintains environmental control of the experiment during the flight. Upon return, the samples will be analyzed and compared to data gathered during a simultaneous ground control study. This will provide the most detailed look yet at the impact of spaceflight and deep space radiation on developing blood cells. Just a precision, I should have made that even before. This info PDF or info sheet came out right before the Artemis 2 mission, so keep that in mind when I'm actually reading. Organ chips are roughly the size of a USB drive and could be used to predict how an individual might respond to a variety of stressors, such as radiation or medical treatments, including pharmaceuticals. Made with human cells, the chips mimic how tissues, such as the brain, heart, liver, or dozens of other organs work. NASA research will focus on validating and leveraging these models to assess the impacts of deep space stressors on human health. Bone marrow as bellwethers. The Avatar organ chips will contain bone marrow tissues developed from Artemis 2 crew cells. Bone marrow is responsible for producing red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. This makes marrow an ideal sample for diagnosing diseases and gauging how a person's immune system responds to treatments. Now, before we go, this is NASA flexing their American muscles, but I don't blame them. Before we send the first humans, Americans, to Mars, it is critical to first understand the potential health risk. NASA's organ chip research aims to do just that. This research could provide valuable information for developing measures to protect astronaut health on their missions, including personalized medical kits. I think this is actually great. I wasn't really aware. Like, I knew there were ships that pretty much contain information about medical conditions and all the medical history in case of there's an accident or something like that. The person just, or the animal, the plant, whatever, had all this data recorded in those chips. But I didn't know there were like an organic version of this that actually collected data organically, right? Well, it's more like uh, biotechnologically. I'm not sure if that's even a word, but this is, I think, is fascinating because one of the many reasons I believe it's been difficult to go back to the moon. Well, we haven't been back as often as we should, if you really think about it. It's because of the exposure of radiation in the solar system, which is very strong, obviously. We're one of the closest planet to the sun. We're literally what you would call the inner solar system planets, right? We're the third planet from the sun. And if you think about it, one of the benefits astronauts in the International Space Station is that they are flying in low Earth orbit, still shielded by the Earth magnetosphere. So the magnetic field that protects us here on Earth from solar wind and solar radiation, you can still have that. Well, the astronaut in the International Space Station are still protected. Don't get me wrong, they still get a high amount of radiation. They're exposed to higher radiation than here on Earth, obviously, because they're, I think, over 200 plus miles above the ground. But it's nothing compared to the moon's surface. Especially the fact that the moon isn't continuously protected by Earth magnetosphere. The moon do receive a little bit of protection when it's at the tail end of the magnetic field, but it's not continuous. Okay, so when the moon phase is full moon, the moon is then protected for that period of time, and that period of time just lasts just a few hours. It doesn't last for a long time. But when the moon is in any of the other phases, the protection is is lesser. I'm going to try to put a image or try to give you an example, like put some sort of b-roll clip somewhere to actually explain exactly what's happening at that point. But the point I'm trying to make is that on the moon, people are more exposed to radiation just from the sun itself, right? There's no amount of simulation of the moon conditions here on Earth that we could make that could compare to the data coming directly from the moon surface, right, from the source. Additionally, the human body is very dynamic, in my opinion, like for better or even worse. Any illness could either be cured or any illness could be either cured by antibodies or it could deteriorate, could get worse, could get bad. Factors like diet, exercise, and overall healthcare could factor into providing a proper diagnosis or prediction on how the human body would respond to an alien environment like the moon. Personally, if I was an astronaut, I'd be annoyed for all the tests that I have to go through for an indefinite amount of time because I went to the moon and scientists just want to study how my biology is working after my return. As I mentioned earlier, Having a technology like that could be useful to develop treatments without using animals or harming them, or even humans, right, for testing, greatly reducing the impact it can have on humans and, to be fair, any living organism. Imagine being able to detect the side effect of a specific chemotherapy treatment on a specific person, because it varies. I think there's different chemotherapy solutions, formulas, whatever it's called, but treatment, depending on the person, it can react differently. So if you have these chips that can actually study these type of treatments and even disease, this is great. I don't understand why this hasn't been talked about more often. Anyways, I just wanted to take the time and talk about this. I was literally just I'm still writing other scripts about the moon, not necessarily the Artemis mission, but the moon in itself. They're coming in the coming days, maybe a couple of weeks. But this really was on my mind because I think this is a very good example on how technology can directly impact our biology, right? And if humans don't get too greedy, because, we often do, this could have a greater global impact for our beautiful ecosystem we call Earth. This has been the flip side of the moon. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.